So sometimes you may want to show, or rather to use check marks or simply shapes in your visits. And therefore, to help you understand some of the ways, or rather some of the tricks that you can use to, or rather to be able to bring shapes to your visits, I have some dummy data here. And this data is basically showing the name of student. And here we have the different requirements a student should have to sit for an exam. So this is basically a dummy data, it's not true data. And therefore, I'm going to connect this data in Tableau and see how we can use check marks or shapes to visualize this data. And let me go to Tableau, and I'm going to connect this data. It's an Excel file, and it's simply, I'm calling it sample data. And as you can see, the data is connected. Next, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pivot these different requirements. And basically, by pivoting, I'm simply going to put these headers, or rather the column names in one column and the responses on a different column. So basically, we're going to convert this data to two columns. And to pivot the data, I'm simply going to select the first requirement, the ID card, and I'm going to hold the Shift key on the keyboard and select the last requirement. And basically, by doing that, I've selected all the requirements, and I'm going to select pivot. And as you can see, the data is packed in two columns. We have pivot field names. These are basically the column names. So let me just rename this particular field as requirements. And the other column contains the responses. So let me rename it responses. And now let me open a new worksheet so we can create the view. And to create my view, first of all, I'm going to drag a student name to the rows, simply to show each and every student in this data. Next, I'm going to drag requirement to the columns. And as you can see, just like the data looks like in the table, in the same way we've arranged it here in Tableau. So we have a student name and the requirement. And next, I'm going to drag what we have as responses to text. And as you can see, what we have here is exactly what we have here in Excel. But now our goal here is to show, or rather to use the check marks or shapes to present, or rather to visualize this data. And to do that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to Marks card and select shape. And as you're going to see, we're going to add a circle just before the responses. And now to assign the different responses, different shapes or check marks, I'm going to drag this response to shape. And as you can see, we have two shapes, a circle for a no and a square for a yes. I can be able to edit these shapes by simply coming here, go to edit shape. And here we have various options that we can use to visualize this data, or rather we have various shapes. Note you can also import external shapes to use them in your visits. For this case, I'm going to go to shape palette, and I'm going to go to under KPI, whereby you can see we have several shapes there. And for this case, I want to assign the response yes, a tick, or rather a check mark, and the response no across, and click apply and OK. And let me also try to increase the size of these check marks. And now, as you can see, for this case, we've been able to use this particular shape, which is basically a check mark, to present this simple data. And therefore, you can follow the same procedure to use other shapes, or even import external shapes to use in your visits. And that's all. Thanks, everyone.